he was, I don't want to use the word lie, but he was not being forthright. Fair to say?
Yeah.
Detective just admitted he's a liar, but yet the state brought him in as a state witness for his testimony to be trusted.
Now, you did find out that Mr. Bean, just within a year, September 11, 2013, he had shot 2 unarmed men. You know that?
I never looked into that investigation. I plugged my ears whenever I heard it because
Day 48 of the Young Thug YSL RICO trial was interesting. We get cross-examination of Detective Quinn. Thug's lawyer points out that Adrian Bean is a liar, and Detective Quinn agrees that he's a liar. Yet today was interesting. It comes out that Thug even offered Quinn a job in 2013, and they had a few interactions at a mall as like a security or police officer. He saw Thug in 2013 after the incident, and he told him that Adrian snitched on him too. He knew Adrian snitched on him over 10 years ago, and nothing happened to Adrian. What big gang leader doesn't get someone hurt or something if he knows they snitched on him over the course of 10 years? Join the membership on the channel. Let's get into this video. Here we go.
After Detective Quinn gave that information to us and we submitted that to defense counsel in December of 2023.
She's talking about 10-year-old statements or encounters with Thug and Detective Quinn. Just randomly saw Thug, I believe, in like a mall, I think. Shout out my boy Thugger Daily. He said, apparently Quinn met Thug at Lenox Mall shortly after the 2013 incident and told Thug that Adrian Bean snitched on him and put him in the armed robbery car. Thug said he wasn't involved at all and was otherwise silent. Additionally, later saw Thug and DK hanging out at the mall. So statements completely out of court. Thug wasn't even detained. They're not recorded. It's based off what Detective Quinn is saying happened 10 years ago in a mall, randomly, when he saw Thug somewhere. First look at Thug stretching. Wiping the nose. I'm just kidding. He looks tired as shit.
Your Honor.
Got a snazzy snoot on though. Friday looked like he was going to church. Now he looks like he's going to a funeral.
These statements should have been given to Mr. Williams 10 days before trial. That's
Camera keeps zooming in on a low rod of sleep, bro.
presumably, there's no recording, there's no memorandum, there's no report, there's no summary. So this is going a 10-year memory of Detective Quinn. And if you admit them, I also don't want this to be expanded because I have no way of checking, verifying something from 2013. If the court admits it, I'd like it to be bound tightly to interaction 1, 2, 3, and 4. But based upon the late notice, I'm not blaming at all District Attorney President Hilton. I'm just saying the late notice under the statute, it should have been given 10 days before trial because this is coming from nothing. I mean, I have nothing.
So he's objecting, citing a case where the probative value doesn't outweigh the risk of prejudice, obviously.
We believe that these encounters are important because what these encounters show is that Detective Quinn had no ill will towards Mr. Williams. Matter of fact, he did not take out arrest warrants and explain that to Mr. Williams. So much so that Mr. Williams in turn tried to offer him a job. And I think that is important for the jurors to hear, given this idea that Detective Quinn has, in this particular case, in some way, shape, or form, interjected himself in it and has a vendetta against Mr. Williams. This shows very clearly he does not have a vendetta against Mr. Williams and did not have a vendetta against Mr. Williams. And matter of fact, wanted Mr. Williams to just go forth in his music career, continue to be successful, and like he literally told him, stay off of Cleveland Avenue.
Thug offered Detective Quinn a job. Is that what I heard? Like a security job?
4 interactions with Mr. Williams, reportedly, and that you summarized that in a written statement, gave that to the defense, and this is consistent with the preparation that around December of 2023 that you had with the representatives from the state of Georgia. Is that correct?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay. If you could tell the court a little bit about those particular 4 interactions, as much as you can recall, consistent with what you told them.
Yes, sir.
Them being the state. Okay.
Yes. I worked this extra job at Neiman Marcus at that time, I guess, since 2004. So I'm there every Friday. I had never seen Jeffrey Williams, to my knowledge, even come in the store. But a week, maybe 2 into my investigation, Jeffrey Williams comes in to Neiman Marcus, and I'm sitting on a stool. I've got on my City of Atlanta police uniform. I'm not a detective, in my detective attire. And I waved him over. I said, come here, let me holler at you right quick. I told him directly right then and there, this joker named Bean, he's put you in this car that went off that cliff over there on Old Hayville, right into 126 Cleveland. I said, I'm telling you that because you're going to get the discovery anyway from somebody else in the car. You know what I mean? You're going to learn this. I'm telling you, I'm giving you 100%. This guy's putting you in the car. But what I did tell him was, the same guy, Bean, was identifying which gun he had during this commission of this robbery that turned into a police shooting. And I said, I'm not going to lock you up based on what Bean said alone. If Touch DNA comes back with male profiles on him, I just said to him, boom. Are you going to make me come get you with a warrant, or you give me a voluntary sample to eliminate you from this case? And I said, I'm not going to lock you up with what Bean says alone. I need something else. That's how I get that.
Voluntary sample to eliminate you. Yeah. Fuck that.
Mr. Williams was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. He was adamant. He seemed very nervous. I learned from the analysts there were too many male contributors to the gun that Bean identified Jeffrey Williams being in possession of. They wouldn't be able to put a usable sample up into CODIS.
Sounds like it was the community strap.
Later, Mr. Williams comes back in the store again. I don't know what day, but it was weeks after the first encounter. I said, yo, come here. Let me holler at you. I said, guess what? I can't use that gun against you as corroborative evidence or evidence against you based off what Bean said. I did some research on you independently because I didn't know you were about to blow up. I said, and excuse my language, I said, go make $1 million, stay the fuck off, please. That's what I said to him. Maybe a month or two goes by after that. I'm at Neiman Marcus again. Now Mr. Williams comes in the store with a couple of people, a small, I guess you would call entourage. But in particular, he introduces me to his sister Dolly. Didn't know his sister at all.
I did not know Thug talked to this man this much, multiple times at a fucking store. What is going on?
They asked me, would I be their road security? Collectively, between Mr. Williams and his sister. I was like, that's not what I do. This has nothing to do with this case. I did take her number because Dolly gave me her number. I put it in my city issue phone, Dolly, Young Thug's sister, or something to that degree. The fourth encounter may have been months on down the road. It might have been 6 to 8 weeks. Mr. Williams comes in. We don't have any verbal contact in the fourth encounter. My stool that I sit on is right at the downstairs escalator going in menswear. Mr. Williams is with DK, real name Walter Murphy. From about 25 feet away from me, he's pointing to Walter Murphy's like right pocket to his pants, and there's a long stack of money in Walter Murphy's pockets as they go down the escalator. He points at it, and he doesn't say anything to me. He just makes reference to it, make sure I see it. I don't know what that meant, you know, but that was that.
Thug pointed at DK's money? Was he like flexing on a cop or something? Like, yeah, we got money, bitch. Oh, Mr. Steele wants to ask him something.
How are you today, sir?
Mr. Steele.
Good to see you, as always.
Always a pleasure.
Can I just ask you a couple questions?
Yes, sir.
Did you in any way record, memorialize, write down, note in any form? I'm not being expansive to remember any one of these 1, 2, 3, or 4 that you said.
I did not.
There's no custodial situation. This is just come over here. If he didn't want to come over there, he walks away. Is that
correct?
If the statements were turned over to Mr. Williams and other members of the defense team on around December the 29th of 2023, today is March the 25th of 2024. The parties have had some 3 months or thereabouts to talk with Detective Quinn about any of these 4 statements. So for those reasons, the court will authorize, with of course with the necessary foundation to be laid.
So he's admitting the statements if they are able to lay proper foundation. 11-year-old statement from the detective that he memorized. Crazy.
You talked last week about your pocket recorder. Is that the same pocket recorder that you used when you talked to Mr. Eduardo Flores Nava?
Absolutely.
And is this a digital or analog recorder?
It's digital.
And we all should know how recorders work, but how does your specific recorder work?
About the size of a pack of gum. For ages, I've kept it right in my lapel pocket. And because of Georgia law, it's surreptitious. It's a secret that it's there. I never show anyone my pocket recorder. Georgia law says we're a one-party state, and I observe that.
Damn, he records people without them knowing in his suit. Bro is slick as hell, but I don't know how I feel about Detective Quinn. I feel like he loves himself a little bit too much, like a little bit of an ego type shit.
Is it practical to delete recordings at the scene of a crime? Why or why not?
I don't even understand why anyone would delete a recording at a crime scene. I mean, with the advent of digital technology, you have these recordings for your notes later. You want to have all your information.
And again, did you, as it relates to Mr. Bean, Mr. Flores Nava, or any of the interviews that you conducted as it relates to this case, have you ever deleted any of those recordings?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Is Adrian Bean the first person to bring up the name Young Thug?
Yes.
Right. Was the only time you heard about Thug's involvement on the jail calls that you were listening to prior to this interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you heard of that name, Young Thug, as it relates to this particular incident?
No.
And it was Bean who introduced that name?
Absolutely.
Now, when Mr. Bean advised you that he told the other officers or he told the detectives, were you aware of who he may have been speaking or referencing when he made that portion of his statement?
No.
Do you know where it could potentially have been taking place?
Where he was getting taken into custody, where he was getting arrested, somewhere on Cleveland between that and Old Hayfield Road.
How does he know where they were taking place? He's trying to steal the whole idea of it taking place at the damn hospital, and now Brian Steele's objecting.
Basis.
Speculation.
I say objection.
Yeah, that was pure speculation right there from Detective Quinn. Congrats, Detective Quinn.
Do you know?
No.
All right. And was it Mr. Bean who introduced the people's placement inside of that vehicle?
Yes, it was.
Did you direct anyone to go to the jail to speak to Mr. Adrian Bean?
Not at all.
Real quick, I have membership on the channel now. You get emotes and extra videos.
We're going to start at 10:32:38.
He said Adrian Bean was the driver himself. Big Fred Pro was in the front passenger seat. Walter D.K. Murphy was in the rear driver's seat. He said that Jeffrey Williams, he called him Thug, was in the rear passenger seat behind Big Fred. He said DK had a little small gun. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But
And then was he able to tell you what kind of gun Thug had?
he couldn't describe it, but he talked about knowing he always had one.
I wonder how the jury sees this, because, I mean, this is just so tedious and pointless to me.
Now, guns.
So he's just showing all the guns they found in the car and everything and whatnot, but I gotta blur those, man. YouTube, take down this damn video.
Ladies and gentlemen, comfort break? Okay, all right. Let's take 10 minutes and then we'll come back and see where we are.
So someone on the jury had to pop a deuce out and take a shit real quick. So somehow, boys and girls, that gets turned into a 2-hour break. Yes, you heard me correctly. 2-hour long dookie for one of the jurors. I'm just joking. I'm sure they had to figure something else out, but still.
I wanted to confront him with conversations he had with his wife and this unknown third party was on the phone. Curious for me, I wanted to make sure he confirmed that was all truthful information.
Do you recall him talking about Thug and he climbed over the wall?
I do.
This DA is taking long breaks in between questions, like full-on minutes. How is she this unprepared? Look at this break. Look at this.
Who was being referencing as to being Thug's foot soldiers?
I understood it to be Walter Murphy.
Hold on. I saw a tweet earlier. Shout out Thugger Daily for pointing this out earlier on Twitter. How are they trying to say Walter Murphy is a foot soldier of Thug, but they also say he's a co-founder of YSL? You can't be both. I feel like the state is just spreading this whole case too thin. Like, the jury is just going to see right through some of this.
I'm talking about they are gangbangers. Who was he referencing?
Jeffrey Williams and Walter Murphy.
Did you hear Adrian Bean said it's about 180 of those mother? Did you hear him say that?
I heard that.
Did you know what he was referencing when he made that comment?
What I understood to be the membership of a particular gang member.
180 YSL members, apparently.
And is that relation to him talking about Walter Murphy or DK and Thug?
Correct.
And Mr. Bean said, I can't testify. I don't want to be put on blast.
Yes.
Okay. Have you heard the term on blast before, prior to him saying that?
Absolutely.
Ever say that they don't want to testify?
In my experience, most don't.
Adrian Bean said that him and Thug jumped over the fences. Have you seen pictures of the fences that were outside at 126 Cleveland Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. Did you notice if those fences had barbed wiring?
I haven't seen them in about in a while. Okay. Several days, but I know there were some fences. I know I couldn't get over.
And why you said you couldn't get over, tell me what you mean.
Bad knees.
All right. In your experience as a law enforcement officer, have you ever had experience of seeing suspects jumping over barbed wire fences?
I worked, yes.
And so is that uncommon?
That's a Tuesday. That's not.
Now going to 11:45.
You can just tell Detective Quinn works on camera. He's so comfortable.
Who was that a picture of?
That's Jeffrey Williams.
And is that who Adrian Bean identified as Thug?
Yes, he did.
And is that person in which he was referencing within this entire interview?
Correct.
And do you see that person in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you identify him by article of clothing that he's wearing?
He's sitting between Mr. Steele and the gentleman with the bald head. He's got on a nice suit.
I was stipulating that all the Detective Quinn identifies for it.
It's y'all. It's y'all, Mr. Adams.
You're right. Let the record reflect that.
I can't hear because there's no mics, but they were making fun. Someone made a joke about Mr. Adams being bald.
The Detective Quinn has identified Mr. Jeffrey Williams. Did you hear him telling his wife about felonies that he had committed as a part of this incident on September 11, 2013?
Yes.
And let me ask, is it a felony to shoot someone?
Absolutely.
Is it a felony to possess a gun while you may be on probation?
Objection, Your Honor.
Given what you heard on that jail calls, was Adrian Bean implicated himself in this armed robbery?
Yes.
Did you have a desire or want Mr. Jeffrey Williams or Young Thug as part of this case?
That's the jury to determine.
You're right.
I'll rule the objection. I'll sustain this to form, rephrase it.
Did you have any vendetta against Mr. Williams or the person known as Young Thug as part of this case?
Not at all.
Outside of the video interview and the recorded portion all the way up until you dropped Mr. Bean off at the jail, did you have any further conversation with Adrian Bean about this case that was not recorded?
Not at all.
And did you ever tell Adrian Bean to make Young Thug or DK or Frederick Prothrow to be a part of this case at all?
No.
All right, lawyer Max Schardt is up for cross-examination. This is Shannon Stowell's lawyer.
About destroying evidence. And that would be illegal.
I would say so.
And that would also violate police protocol.
If it was information that was going to set someone free, those are the key words. Tapes or written testimony that's going to set someone free is important. That's why it has to be preserved.
What about other statements or recordings that wouldn't necessarily set someone free? Would be destroying those recordings still be destroying evidence?
I mean, I don't know because I don't have that. I've never had that situation. I know of detectives that will record things and then reduce it to writing when they get back and they don't use the recording. I've seen that. Me personally, I can speak for me. I turn over everything, but I'm not. That's not the hard and fast rule. But the hard and fast rule is any information that's going to set a person free, you can't destroy it.
What about a statement that's taken from a witness that you determined to be a lie?
I can only speak for me, and it's my practice. I don't.
So your testimony is...
So the reason why they're pressing him about this is because a witness said that Detective Quinn deleted his first statement to him on the scene. The guy whose car got borrowed and then was involved in that shooting. He's saying that never happened, essentially. That he never deleted anything. So someone's lying.
A recorded statement with your lapel recorder from Mr. Nava Flores on 9/11/13, correct?
I did.
And in preparation of your testimony, and you would agree 3 minutes and 36 seconds of this recording, or anywhere on the recording, there's reference to a first statement, and if Mr. Nava Flores wants to clear anything else up from the first statement he gave.
I remember that well.
Okay, and you would agree that there's clearly establishes that there were in fact 2 statements.
Okay, only one given to me. I can't speak to whoever that law enforcement official was that Nava Flores spoke with. It was in the ether, and I didn't know who it was.
And I'm going to get back to that, okay? So your testimony today is that you only took one statement from Mr. Nava Flores.
Yes.
So is he lying? Who knows? But I'm seeing on Twitter and in the chat, a lot of people don't like this guy's main character energy.
You're the lead investigator in this case, correct?
I'm the quarterback, yeah.
Bro just called himself the quarterback.
That's right. I throw the ball, but I can't catch it.
You acknowledge the importance of police reports for memorializing facts that are learned at the time, correct?
Yes, I also acknowledge that it's not an exact science either.
And you also acknowledge that police reports are important when you're called to testify about things from 2013 and it's 2024.
Absolutely.
So Mr. Schart's doing a good job just casting doubt on his whole investigation from day one of arriving at the scene, essentially.
Officers and detectives, you're not the only one with a recording device, are you?
I don't know. There are people out there that I don't know what they carry on, how they record information.
Okay. Do you have a recording from this initial statement given by Mr. Nava Flores?
I do not.
APD, yes, sir.
Can I say this?
Yes.
I don't know if it was recorded or was it just a verbal statement. Because verbal statements are statements just like recorded statements. Technology has not changed facts.
What about a written statement form used by APD? Do you have a written statement form with Mr. Nava Flores' original statement?
I do not.
You also had a phone conversation the next day with Courtney Bean, correct?
I did.
Did you record that phone conversation?
I did not.
All right, Brian Steele's up on cross-examination. Let's see what he does.
Can I ask you some questions?
It's your floor, brother.
Talking about Adrian Bean, September 11th, 2013, at the area where he's arrested. Fair to say, as far as you know, gets hit by the police car, the undercover police car, the Taurus, taken into custody, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when he is taken into custody, just to be solid and just to make sure it's pure, he is taken from that scene to Grady Hospital. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And from Grady Hospital, he eventually makes his way over to the Fulton County Jail.
Yes, sir.
So the state fought hard about that not being the truth, that Adrian never went to Grady Hospital. Detective Quinn just confirmed that he did go there first and then went over to the detention center because they're on the same, property.
When Mr. Bean tells you 6 days later, it's September 17, 2013, that he had lied to the detective when he first spoke with them, you remember something? I may not be quoting, but something to that effect?
I mean, you're paraphrasing, but I know where you're going.
But, I'm trying to be fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we don't have to, bring it up and show me anything.
Do you know who he spoke with? When I say he, Mr. Bean spoke with prior to speaking with you?
Not at all.
Do you know what the location of this interrogation, interview, meeting, whatever you want to call it? Do you know what questions were asked of Mr. Bean?
I know nothing because no one gave me anything in written form or verbal form for me to evaluate.
And as far as you know, Detective Tracy Lewis did not record the meeting with Mr. Walter Murphy.
Correct.
All right. And is it fair to say that Detective Calhoun, when he met with Fred Prothro, Fred Prothro spoke with him, or Frederick Prothro spoke with him?
He did.
And is it fair to say that Frederick Prothro said who was in the car at the time of that collision?
Yeah, he gave a statement. He gave some information.
And is it fair to say that Frederick Prothro said that there were 3 people in the car?
Basis.
Yes, sir.
I stand the question.
Detective Calhoun already testified.
Not as to what Frederick Prothro
Yeah, you
said.
can't. It's still going to be
Steele tried to sneak in something there. Apparently Big Fred at the hospital said there was only 3 people in the car, so Big Fred was holding strong, not snitching on Thug.
Oh, I know what the deal is, but what are you talking about as it pertains to this case?
Well, let's just use a Mr. Bean.
Clearly Mr. Bean got some sort of deal. He apparently, I think Mr. Bean shot someone at some point and got 2 years in jail for it or something. How does that happen?
He asked for something called slack. Do you remember that in the recordings?
I mean, everybody asks for slack. I don't remember him saying it, but I'm not going to dispute what you're saying. Everybody in this world wants a hookup. I don't care what it is.
And when slack could mean, and in this situation, Mr. Bean was looking for, my word would be leniency for him and Mr. Fred Prothro. Is that fair to say, if you remember?
I think that's fair to say. That's normal.
Those people may shade the truth, lie, because they want to make it better for them. Fair to say?
Objection vague as opposed to.
Mr. Bean.
I stand the question.
Just use Mr. Bean. And there could be other people walking. That's just a pedestrian area, a business area, right?
Yeah, and in my experience, people running from the police, running from trouble, they will run through red light on Peachtree. It's just how it is. When folks are trying to get away, they're not being careful with both hands on the wheel.
Because they don't want to be held responsible for what they did. Fair to say?
Anyone fleeing or running from the cops, from the folks, they ain't trying to go to jail.
That the car drove by itself. Remember that? All the driving through the gate. Once it hit the gate, the car just drove by itself. Do you remember him saying that?
I do remember him saying that. Brakes don't work when you're driving at those high speeds. The kind of velocity it would have taken to take out that metal gate, controlled access gate. The car was out of control.
And he was the person putting the car out of control.
That's without question.
And he also told you he knew nothing about the armed robbery before it happened, right? That's what he told you.
You talking about in the beginning of the statement?
Yeah.
The beginning of our statement when we were together inside homicide?
Yeah, don't you remember all the statement that...
About the lean deal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, he was minimizing his exposure. He talked about buying some cough syrup, drink, whatever they call it.
And do you remember him also telling you that he...
So what Steele's doing here is he's just making Bean look like a liar. He was minimizing his involvement in the crime. He tried to act like they were just going to buy lean when no, motherfucker, you knew you were going to rob someone. That's a lie.
never saw the officer, Robersonell, who was right at the car. You remember him telling you that?
And you remember if you watched the video, I said I didn't believe it.
I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm saying that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
Mr. Bean was.
Absolutely.
He was, I don't want to use the word lie, but he was not being forthright. Fair to say?
Yeah, I would say so.
This guy's a proven liar. Detective just admitted he's a liar, but yet the state brought him in as a state witness for his testimony to be trusted when it was a complete waste of time for 2 weeks, and he just said, I don't recall. Like the worst state witness of all time.
If a police officer tells him to stop, he would absolutely stop. Do you remember something? And I'm not quoting him, but do you remember something like that?
Yes, sir, I do.
And remember Mr. Bean telling you...
So stupid.
We're having a conversation. And he might not have said this, so correct me. He's a nonviolent person.
You're probably paraphrasing, but yeah, he's not into the wet work.
Now, you did find out that Mr. Bean, just within a year, September 11, 2013, he had shot 2 unarmed men. You know that?
I never looked into that investigation. I plugged my ears whenever I heard it because that was a case I knew nothing about. It didn't.
Bro said he was non-violent. Meanwhile, he shoots people. Like Jesus.
Is it potentially violent to shoot two unarmed people?
I mean, I think it's obvious anytime you shoot a human, unless it's self-defense. I don't see, and that's another thing. I don't know what that situation was. Was it self-defense? I don't know.
Was there time from Mr. Nava Flores seeing his car leave with 4 people? Was there time for people to get out of that car or into that car before the car slammed into the laundromat?
So you're asking me just as human beings, can we get out of cars that the doors open? We can do that.
Brian Steele's just trying to cast doubt on who was in the car. It's all over the place. Some people say 3 people, some people say 5 people, some people say there was a woman in the car. He's just casting doubt in front of the jurors. All right, boys, that's pretty much it. I mean, detective just agreed that the state's witness is a liar. Just so stupid. I don't know if I like Detective Quinn's energy. And I don't like how the judge let in those statements that he had with Thug from 11 years ago based off his memory. I don't think they brought it up today, or maybe I missed it. But yeah, comment down below what you guys think. Join the channel membership. I appreciate you guys for real. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe. Peace out.